Humanity's ultimatum. In the grand chamber of the Galactic Council, Ambassador Ilara Voss stood tall and defiant before the assembled alien dignitaries. Her voice rang out clear and strong, echoing through the cavernous hall. For too long, humanity has endured your dismissal and discrimination, she declared, her eyes blazing with conviction. We have followed your rules, submitted to your endless bureaucracy, and tolerated your thinly veiled contempt. But no more. The chamber fell silent, the weight of her words hanging heavy in the air. Representatives from 100 alien races leaned forward in their seats, some with expressions of shock, others with barely concealed disdain. Ilara reached into her pocket and withdrew a small data crystal. She held it aloft, the light glinting off its faceted surface. This contains evidence of the Council's corruption and bias against humanity. Backroom deals, sabotaged negotiations, and blatant favoritism towards other races. Your hypocrisy and double-dealing end here. She placed the crystal on the podium before her, the soft click reverberating through the suddenly still chamber. As of this moment, Earth and all its colonies withdraw from the Galactic Council. We renounce all treaties and agreements. Consider this our declaration of independence. The chamber erupted into chaos. Shouts of outrage mingled with cries of disbelief. Some representatives surged to their feet, their voices raised in protest. Others sat in stunned silence, the full implications of humanity's actions slowly sinking in. Ilara stood firm amidst the tumult, her gaze unwavering. She had known this moment would come, had prepared for it tirelessly. The Council had underestimated humanity for the last time. As the clamor reached a fevered pitch, Ilara turned and strode from the chamber, her head held high. The Council's days of unchallenged dominion were over. Humanity would forge its own path, no matter the cost. In the corridors beyond, human aides and diplomats fell into step beside her, their faces set with grim determination. They had all known the risks when they signed on for this mission. There would be no turning back now. As they boarded the shuttle that would take them back to their ship, Ilara allowed herself a moment of quiet reflection. The road ahead would be hard, fraught with danger and uncertainty. But for the first time in generations, humanity's fate was in its own hands. They had issued their ultimatum. Now they would face the consequences, come what may. The galaxy would learn the true measure of human resolve. The hidden human fleets. Admiral Nora Vega stood on the bridge of her flagship, the HSS Indomitable, and watched as the holographic display flickered to life before her. Pinpricks of light representing human ships winked into existence across the star map, each one a testament to years of secret toil and preparation. "Status report," she barked, her voice crisp and commanding. "All ships in position, Admiral," her first officer replied, his fingers dancing across the console. "The Council suspects nothing. They're in for one hell of a surprise." Nora allowed herself a tight smile. The Council had long dismissed humanity as a minor player on the galactic stage, a young race with more ambition than sense. They had no idea of the depths of human determination, the lengths to which they would go to secure their place among the stars. For decades, while the Council's attention was elsewhere, humanity had been quietly building its strength. Advanced shipyards constructed in secret, hidden in the depths of uncharted nebulae. Weapons research conducted far from prying eyes, yielding technological marvels that would shake the very foundations of galactic power. And now, the fruits of those labors were about to be unveiled. "Initiate Phase 1, Nora commanded, her eyes gleaming with anticipation. Across the galaxy, human ships emerged from their concealed positions, their sudden appearance sending shockwaves through the Council's defense networks. Patrols were caught off guard, outposts were swiftly overwhelmed, and key strategic locations fell under human control with barely a shot fired. The Council scrambled to respond, but found themselves hampered at every turn. Their communication systems stuttered and failed, their ships' weapons inexplicably malfunctioned, and their coordination dissolved into panicked disarray. In the midst of the chaos, the minor races of the galaxy found themselves faced with a choice. They could cling to the Council, hoping for protection from the ascendant human power. Or they could seize the opportunity, aligning themselves with Earth and its colonies in a bid for greater autonomy and influence. As reports flooded in of human victories and Council disarray, more and more races chose the latter path. Envoys were dispatched, treaties hastily signed, and alliances forged in the heat of the moment. The balance of power was shifting, the old order crumbling away, and humanity stood poised to fill the vacuum, to shape the destiny of the galaxy as it saw fit. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Nora watched the star map with a fierce pride burning in her heart. The hidden fleets had played their part to perfection, the Council caught utterly unprepared for the scale and audacity of the human plan. But this was only the beginning. The real work lay ahead, in the forging of a new galactic order. An order in which humanity would no longer be dismissed or underestimated, but would take its rightful place as a power to be reckoned with. Nora turned to her first officer, her voice ringing with conviction. "Signal all ships. We press on. The galaxy is waiting." And with those words, the Indomitable surged forward, leading the charge into a future that humanity would shape with its own hands. The Council's days were numbered, and a new era was about to dawn. The fall of the Council Titans. In the heart of the Zorgan Empire, a sense of unease hung thick in the air. Emperor Craxful, ruler of one of the mightiest military powers in the galaxy, paced restlessly before the holographic display of his war council. "The humans have grown too bold," he growled, his voice thick with menace. "They think they can challenge the order of the galaxy unopposed. They will learn the folly of their arrogance." His generals nodded in agreement, their faces grim and determined. The Zorgan fleet, long the scourge of 100 systems, was being marshaled for a decisive strike against the upstart human colonies. But even as the mighty warships of the Empire assembled, doubt gnawed at the edges of Craxful's confidence. Reports had been trickling in of human victories against Council forces, of advanced weapons and technologies that seemed to defy explanation. Craxful brushed aside these concerns with a snarl of contempt. The humans were barely more than primitives, their achievements paltry compared to the might of the Zorgan war machine. They would be crushed like insects beneath the heel of the Empire. The Zorgan fleet surged forth from their staging grounds, a armada of sleek, deadly ships that darkened the stars with their passage. At their head, the Emperor's flagship, a behemoth of destruction that had brought entire systems to their knees. But as they approached the human colonies, something unexpected happened. The human ships, tiny in comparison to the Zorgan leviathans, did not flee or scatter as expected. Instead, they moved with a fluid grace and coordination that spoke of long practice and iron discipline. And then, without warning, the humans struck. It was like nothing Craxful had ever seen. Beams of scintillating energy lanced out from the human ships, bypassing the Zorgan shields as if they weren't even there. The Empire's vessels shuddered and went dark, their systems overwhelmed by the strange weaponry. The Emperor watched in disbelief as his mighty fleet was crippled before his eyes, the pride of the Zorgan military reduced to drifting hulks in a matter of moments. The human ships darted among the wreckage with impunity, picking off stragglers and ensuring the completeness of their victory. Craxful's rage was a palpable thing, a seething fury that threatened to consume him entirely. But beneath that anger, a cold dread had taken root in his heart. If the humans could do this to the Zorgans, what hope did the rest of the Council have? News of the Zorgan defeat spread like wildfire through the galaxy, each retelling embellished with new details of human cunning and technological supremacy. The Council races, already reeling from the initial human onslaught, now teetered on the brink of total collapse. One by one, the old alliances unraveled, the Council's authority crumbling away as its members scrambled to secure their own survival. Some, seeing the writing on the wall, hastened to make peace with the ascended humans, offering vassalage in exchange for protection. Others, their pride and fear blinding them to the new reality, clung stubbornly to their old allegiances, determined to go down fighting rather than bend the knee to the upstarts from Earth. But no matter their choice, One thing was clear. The old order was dead, and a new power had risen to take its place. Humanity, once dismissed and underestimated, now held the fate of the galaxy in its hands. And as the news of the Zorgan defeat reached the farthest corners of known space, one thing became abundantly clear. The Council had gravely underestimated the depths of human resolve and the heights of their ambition. The galaxy would never be the same. Secrets of the insurgency. In the depths of the Galactic Council's intelligence headquarters, a sense of growing unease permeated the air. Analysts and operatives huddled over their terminals, sifting through a deluge of data with increasingly frantic intensity. At the center of the chaos stood Zathir Karn, the Council's chief intelligence officer. His usually impassive features were drawn tight with tension as he surveyed the holographic displays before him. "How could we have missed this?" he muttered, his voice thick with disbelief. "The signs were there, but we failed to see the pattern." On the screens, a damning tapestry of evidence unfolded. Human infiltration, it seemed, had been far more extensive and deep-rooted than anyone had suspected. For years, human students and researchers had flocked to the Council's most prestigious academies and institutions, ostensibly seeking knowledge and cultural exchange. But beneath that benign surface, a far more insidious purpose had been at work. The human operatives had used their access to map out the Council's weaknesses, to gather intelligence on its military capabilities and technological advancements. They had forged connections with disaffected elements within the Council races, sowing the seeds of discontent and rebellion. And all the while, they had been planting the seeds of their own ascendancy. Dormant computer viruses, embedded in seemingly innocuous research projects and data transfers, now stirred to life, wreaking havoc on the Council's critical systems. Communications networks faltered and failed, defense grids suddenly bristled with inexplicable vulnerabilities, and the Council's vaunted technological superiority began to crumble away. Zathir Karn watched the disaster unfold with a growing sense of dread. The Council had always known that the humans were ambitious, that they chafed at the limitations placed upon their expansion and influence. But they had failed to grasp the true scope of that ambition, the ruthless cunning with which the humans had pursued their goals. And now, the price of that failure was becoming all too clear. Across the galaxy, human fleets moved with impunity, their advanced weapons and technologies cutting through the Council's defenses like a hot knife through butter. Rebel factions within the Council races, long nurtured by human agents, now rose up in open revolt, throwing the old order into chaos. It was a masterstroke of infiltration and subversion, a plan decades in the making. And the Council, blinded by its own arrogance and complacency, had never seen it coming. Zathir Karn slumped back in his chair, his mind reeling with the implications of what he had uncovered. The Council had always believed itself to be the pinnacle of galactic civilization, the wise guardians of peace and stability. But now, that illusion lay shattered, exposed as a hollow facade by the ruthless efficiency of the human insurgency. The Council had sown the seeds of its own destruction, and the harvest was now at hand. As the intelligence chief watched the galaxy he had known crumble away before his eyes, a grim realization settled over him. The age of the Council was over, and a new power was rising to take its place. The humans had played a long and patient game, and now their gambit was paying off in spades. The galaxy would belong to them now, for better or for worse. And as Zathir Karn contemplated the ruins of his life's work, he couldn't help but feel a grudging respect for the audacity and skill of the human insurgency. They had outplayed the Council at every turn, and now the galaxy would reap the consequences. The future, it seemed, belonged to the bold and the cunning. And in that regard, the humans had proven themselves to be in a class all their own. A new galactic order. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council was a far cry from the august body it had once been. Where once proud alien dignitaries had debated the fate of star systems, now a chastened and subdued assembly awaited the pleasure of their new human overlords. At the center of the chamber stood Ilara Voss, the architect of humanity's triumph. She surveyed the gathered representatives with a cool, appraising gaze, her bearing regal and self-assured. "The old order is dead," she declared, her voice echoing through the suddenly still chamber. "The Council's time is over. A new era dawns, and humanity stands at its forefront." There was no outrage this time, no cries of defiance or protest. The assembled aliens sat in cowed silence, the fight drained out of them by the events of the preceding months. Ilara let her gaze sweep over the chamber, taking in the mix of fear, resignation, and grudging respect on the faces before her. "But we are not tyrants," she continued, her tone softening slightly. "We seek not to conquer, but to lead. To forge a new galactic order built on strength, unity, and mutual respect." She paused, letting her words sink in. "Those who join us willingly will be welcomed as partners and allies. Your unique strengths and perspectives will be valued, your autonomy respected." Her expression hardened. "But make no mistake. Those who cling to the old ways, who seek to undermine or resist the new order, will be dealt with swiftly and decisively. The galaxy has seen what humanity is capable of. We do not make idle threats." As if to punctuate her words, the holographic display behind her flickered to life. Images of shattered Zorgan warships and crippled Council fleets played out in vivid detail, a stark reminder of the price of defiance. The assembled aliens shifted uncomfortably in their seats, the message all too clear. The age of human ascendancy had begun, and the price of resistance would be high indeed. Ilara let the display play out for a long moment before gesturing for it to be dismissed. "But enough of the past," she said, her tone lightening once more. "Let us speak instead of the future." She began to outline her vision for the new galactic order, a grand design of cooperation and shared prosperity under human leadership. Trade routes would be secured, disputes arbitrated fairly, and the combined might of the galaxy's races would be turned towards common goals. As she spoke, the atmosphere in the chamber began to shift. Tentative nods of agreement could be seen among the alien representatives, a sense of cautious optimism taking hold. For all the brutality of humanity's ascent, there was no denying the allure of Ilara's vision. A galaxy united, a future of boundless potential and possibility. It was a seductive dream, and one that many found themselves drawn to despite their misgivings. As the session drew to a close, Ilara stepped down from the podium, a sense of profound satisfaction washing over her. The road ahead would be long and fraught with challenges, but the foundation had been laid. Humanity had taken its place at the helm of the galaxy, and the course of history had been irrevocably changed. The Council's rule was over, and a new chapter was about to begin. As Ilara strode from the chamber, flanked by her advisors and guards, she allowed herself a moment of quiet reflection. The sacrifices had been many, the cost high. But in the end, humanity had triumphed. And now, the task of building a better future lay ahead. A future in which humanity's strength and vision would guide the galaxy towards a brighter tomorrow. Ilara squared her shoulders, her eyes fixed on the horizon. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she knew that humanity would face them with the same determination and indomitable will that had brought them to this moment. The galaxy was theirs now, and they would make of it something grand and glorious, a testament to the power of human ambition and the unbreakable spirit of Earth and all its children. The future beckoned, and humanity strode forward to meet it, heads held high and hearts ablaze with the promise of all that was to come.